What's up, Buffalo Bill fans? I went back and forth on doing a mock draft video. I they're so, but they're fun. That's why we like mocks. They're fun. You get to play GM. You get to pick where you think a guy will fall, even for not for your favorite team. You try to make sense out of it. It's kind of like a fun game. Really is. It's you get to, again, play GM. In this instance, I'm gonna do the Bills first and second. Maybe throw out a couple of ideas for the third. I'm gonna justify my ideas, and with the additions of Mario Williams, Mark Anderson, totally blew up the idea of pass rusher in the first round. You still see some Bills fans, um, people clamoring, "Oh, take an end, have a giant-esque like defensive line." Um, there's just a logjam at end now. Williams, three down player. They talk about Anderson, three down player. They still have Kelsey, who they gave a lot of money to the season prior. He's used to playing in a 4-3, got a little banged up playing outside linebacker last year, but a pretty steady guy. Not the youngest guy, but steady. You have Merriman, who's never played ends. The injuries, I honestly think Merriman's probably a goner in Buffalo. You have Carrington, a guy who played a 4-3 in college, was asked to play a 3-4, maybe wasn't as comfortable, probably going to play a bit lighter, not as much weight on him. I still think that they're probably going to look at that option rather than add an end. And I think they want a guy who plays right away with that first overall pick. You look at Spiller, he had a few good runs in the preseason. They threw him in day one. He was, starting above Marshawn Lynch and Fred Jackson when everybody knew. It seems sexy. We were all anxious to see that breakaway stuff, but we didn't see it to the end of last year. Darius, rock solid from day one, even with Williams hurt. He was getting a little worn down with double teams late in the year, but definitely moving inside next to Kyle. I think in his second year, I think he could be a monster. Hopefully, let's just all cross our fingers. But and again, we've seen all different types of players. In the beginning, before free agency, we saw ends going to the Bills. Now we see possibly an offensive tackle, possibly a wide receiver. I don't see them taking Michael Floyd. Again, these are opinions. I don't see them taking Michael Floyd. Bills, again, they tend to like SEC guys, either small school guys from the South or just straight up SEC players from the bigger schools, Auburn, LSU, Florida, Alabama, you name it. And I don't see them taking an offensive tackle because, like I said, they like their first round picks to play. You bring in a John Martin, you bring in a Riley Reef, he might not beat out Chris Harrison for the job. They might end up re-signing Bell, to compete for that job. Who knows? He's still out there. The Packers haven't signed Bell. Arizona hasn't. The Redskins haven't. He visited the Steelers today. Who knows? I just don't see them taking a guy who's not going to play for them or be penciled in day one. And when you're an offensive lineman, if you're not in the starting five, you're not playing. And I think you're seeing the Bills distancing themselves from players who are injury prone. They did protect themselves with, the McGee deal. You get injured, you don't pass your physical, we don't owe you any money. You stay healthy, you play, you get the same money. But the chances of him getting hurt, getting cut, or, failing his physical are pretty high. So I think the Bills protected themselves well there. Roscoe Parrish, you haven't heard no talk of him. Bell, they might have offered him a pedestrian deal, not a guarantee to start. So you just, Merriman, with the injury history, they had to take a chance. But you enter Mario Williams now, pretty much takes Merriman's spot, especially Merriman never having even played in a 4-3. So this goes to where I'm going to see the Bills pick. First guy they brought in for free agency, granted he was released, but they brought him in. The first visit he made was to Buffalo with Stanford route. He ended up signing in KC. Good size, pretty fast guy. Buffalo's secondary was abysmal last year. People say it was because of the lack thereof of pass rush. Hopefully they've rectified that pretty well, I would like to think. But you look at the personnel. I mean, Drayton Florence really had a bad year. Really had a bad year. A lot of pass interference penalties. He was beaten deep on a pretty good number of occasions. I mean, Laurent Robinson had a pretty big game against him in Dallas, as I recall. McKelvin in and out of the lineup, inconsistent. Didn't kind of fell out of favor with the staff, but is a good special teams player, returns kicks, so he's likely to stick. I mentioned McGee in his situation. I mean, you can't rely on that. Aaron Williams, a guy that they like, they drafted in the second round. I mean, he's got good size. He played well when he played, but was injured. Justin Rogers, kind of the same, young guy when he got a chance to play, very dynamic kick returner. Good, was admirable as a third and fourth corner. You got to see him play more, but I don't think that's enough. You play in the division that we play in, that the Bills play in, New England. They're going to spread you out 4 and 5 wide. Philbin now in Miami is probably going to throw the ball a lot more than they have. You never know what the Jets are doing. I don't think they know what they're doing. 2 different quarterbacks, 2 different offenses, but this is why I think the Bills, they stick with the SEC theme. Stephon Gilmore from South Carolina will be the pick. I mean, a guy, he's pretty rock solid. I think he's got like 39 straight starts, 6'1.5". The 4.4 speed was a rock solid 195. I mean, the bigger receivers in this league, you've got to have corners. I hear he's a really, really good athlete, and I think that's something the Bills lack in their secondary at corner, especially with the age of some of the corners that they have. Florence going to be 32 during the season. McGee will turn 32 right at the beginning of the season. So Stephon Gilmore with the 10th overall to the Buffalo Bills. Leads me to the second round. I hear receiver open when he's not open. I don't know if they take a receiver there. I see Pete Metzelaars coming back to Buffalo. They signed Scott Chandler to a 2-year deal, but there's not much behind Scott Chandler, if anything. And when he got hurt, the run game suffered a little bit. The receiving game suffered a little bit. I see if he slips past some teams, namely Indianapolis at the beginning of the second round, Colby Fleener with the Bills' 2nd overall pick. They don't really use their fullback at all, if ever. I mean, I did see 2 tight ends on the field quite a bit with the Bills, and Fleener played in a pro-style offense, a lot of old-school blocking down at 3-point stance at Stanford. I think that they would like that. They would appreciate that, especially Metzelaars was a really good blocking tight end, a really solid receiving tight end, and him working with Chandler and Fleener I think would be great. Would definitely add some diversity. Plus, I think Fleener ran a 4.45. Definitely a guy maybe you can get mismatches on safeties and on linebackers, maybe even some smaller corners. Fleener with the 2nd overall pick for the Bills, and second pick the Bills have, not overall. And in the 3rd, I see them going linebacker. Maybe if a guy like Levante David still around from Nebraska, fast guy, maybe people consider undersized, but I think that's the way they're going to go with linebacker. You've heard Wannstedt talk. He wants guys that can run. Bobby Wagner fits that mold. I don't think Zach Brown will be around then at all. So it's going to be 3rd round's kind of iffy. You never know. But those are my 2 picks. I hope you guys liked the video. Bills fans, let me know your feedback, your opinions, and if anything, keep the comments and feedback coming. I really, really appreciate it. Have a good weekend.